What's good, y'all? It's Tyler, and I got a great one for you guys today. Now, this is actually a very highly requested video because, as some of you may know, I do cut my own hair rather than going to a barber. I've been cutting it for over a year now. But when I started, I actually had a high top fade, but I've been growing out the sides. Now I have a low taper. The thing about low tapers is that it's much less hair to cut, so it's much easier to cut as opposed to a high top fade. So learning on a high top fade actually gave me that advantage because cutting a low taper is just like that. It's easy now. It takes me like 20-30 minutes as opposed to an hour plus when I was cutting my high top fade. But I'm not gonna go too quick. I'm gonna go slow and detailed through this tutorial because most people who are watching a how to cut hair video haven't cut hair. So I'm gonna do it as if I was teaching a beginner. Now keep in mind, this isn't a specific tutorial for a low taper because the fading process is the same no matter what kind of fade you're doing. So I'm gonna try to make it as general as possible, but just know the same rules apply, just on a different scale. And you'll see what I mean when I start cutting my hair. So I'm not gonna keep talking. I'm not gonna keep the intro too long. Let's get right into the video. Let's go. Before I start talking about how to actually cut hair, I'm gonna let y'all know what you need to cut hair. Now keep in mind, all these products that I show you aren't the only ones you can use, but they're the ones that I feel like work the best for me. But I'll also tell you what I think works the best for beginners because I've upgraded some of these products as I've gone along. So to get a classic fade and lineup like most people like to rock nowadays, you're gonna need two things, and don't get them mixed up. First, you're gonna need outline. Now what these are gonna do is line the hair up and cut anything bald that you need bald. What clippers are gonna do is make the fade come to life. So clippers are for the fade, outliners are for the lineup. Now the branded clippers that I have are these Oster Fast Feed. This is like a cornerstone for barbers. They love these. Now, I've had these since I started cutting, so I didn't upgrade these. But my outliners, I did. So when I first started, I had this, the Andis T outliner, great for beginners. But the reason why I changed it is because it's corded, and I didn't want to have a corded one anymore. So I got this Babyliss Rose FX, which is cordless. But it's a little bit on the pricier side, so if you're just starting out, I would highly recommend the Andis T outliners. I'm gonna drop a link for it in the description. Now next, you're gonna need a mirror for when you're cutting the back of your hair. I used to use this handheld mirror, works very well, but when you have to hold it with one hand, you only have one hand to cut with. So I upgraded to this. This is a self-cut system and it basically hangs over your door and it's a tri-fold mirror that allows you to see 360 degrees while you're cutting and leaves both of your hands free. And now you're just gonna need some combs and a brush to lay down the hair when you're about to cut it. If you have a tapered hairline like I do, I would really recommend getting an edge brush. And I know what you're thinking, bro, I'm a man, I don't need no edge brush. Trust me, when you use this, when you're about to line it up, lays down the hairs perfectly, makes it 10 times easier. So now I'm gonna show you all the steps that I take when I'm cutting my hair. Now what I'm gonna start by doing is brushing all the hair down. Now after I brush, the first thing I'm gonna use are my clippers. Now what these are called are guards, and basically what they allow you to do is cut less hair than you normally would if you just use the clippers. What I'm gonna take is the one guard and I'm gonna snap it on the back of this and use it all around my fade. So when I use this one guard, I'm gonna flick the lever open so it doesn't cut as much hair. So what I'm doing right now is just cutting that hair down with the one guard on my clippers and with the lever open. And again, remember to brush as you go to get all that loose hair off so you have a clean, even head of hair to fade with. It's super important to be patient and take your time on this step. Like if you had to go over the same spot a couple times, don't even worry about it because it's just part of the process. Now, if you rush this step and don't get your hair completely even with that one guard, your fade's not gonna come out as good as it could have if it was even. And once you're done, you're just gonna give it another brush to make sure everything's even and all that loose hair is off of where you wanna fade. Now for this next step, you're gonna use your outliner. And what you're gonna be doing is making a bald line going all the way around your head. But the key is to not make it too high so you can have space for your fade. For me, since I have a low taper, this line is gonna be super low. You can see where I'm cutting it. But if you had like a high top fade or a drop fade, that line's gonna be a lot higher, about even with your eyebrow. Now, once you put in that first bald line, your hair should look something like this. And now for the next step, we're going back to the clippers. We're gonna be making our first guideline. Now we're gonna start with no guard on the clippers and with the lever open. For this first guideline, I'm gonna go up about 1/4 inch since I have a low taper. Again, if you had a high taper or any type of higher fade, you'd wanna go up a 1/2 inch to a full inch. And again, remember how important it is to brush because it's just gonna make your fade cleaner. Once you're done putting in that first guideline, your hair should look like this. Now for this next step, we're gonna be using the one guard on our clippers. And as we go, we're gonna close it more and more to shave closer and closer down to the scalp. It's super important to shave as close down to the scalp as you can with the one guard in this step, because if not, you're gonna have little poofs of hair sticking up and your cut is not gonna last as long. Now for the next step, we're gonna put this 0 guard on our clippers and we're gonna fade the line in between where we just cut and where we cut with no guard on. When you're fading, it's not just like a normal cutting motion. You wanna flick out and brush after every flick. Now again, I'm gonna start with the lever halfway open and close it more and more as I need a closer and closer cut. Now that you're done with that, the last step of the fading process is removing the line in between where you cut bald and where you cut with the lever open with no guard. So now what we're gonna do, close that lever, remove that line with that same flicking technique. Now that you're done with that, your fade should be complete and it should look something like this. Now it's time for everyone's favorite part, the lineup. Doing a lineup is very simple. All you have to do, start in the middle of your head and press down and go straight down. And from the middle, you'll go out and just make sure you're even the whole time. Now remember that the hairline is the key to bringing the cut together. You cannot mess it up. Can't mess it up. Now if you notice right here, there's some parts of my hairline that are overgrown down, right here and right here. Now what you wanna do is always line up to your original lining in the middle. So if you have a widow's peak, all you would do is lift up the hair and where those little hairs start right there, if you can see them, that's where your real hairline is. So make it even with that. Don't make it even with this, because then there's no hair to line up. And again, brushing as you go helps to get all those hairs to lay down. The next part is the box right here. This part is easy. Just make sure you don't cut your eyebrow. You're just gonna go straight, but then under here, you're gonna go right here and finish on the corner for the C cup. Now, in my opinion, this right here, the C cup, is the hardest part of the whole cut and it takes a lot of practice to get right. But as long as you're remembering to use the corners of your clippers, it'll look great. Now that you're done, this is what your hairline is gonna look like. You can see right here, that spot that looks lighter in my hairline. Now, if I use enhancements, it would make the cut look more complete, but I just prefer leaving it natural, so I just leave it natural. Now remember, this is with a year's worth of practice. Before, when I first started, my hairlines were not looking like this. The most important thing when starting cutting your hair is consistency and making sure you're doing it often enough and improving every time you cut. Now that the cut is fully done, this is what it looks like. Now, there's one last step, cleaning the hair that you just cut. So what I like to do, I just keep it simple. Bottle of isopropyl alcohol, some toilet paper, fold it up, put a good amount on there, and just dab it across everywhere that got cut. And it still does burn, but it's funny. When you do it to yourself, it doesn't hurt as much for some reason. It's science. I missed. Now when you're done, Your clippers and outliners are gonna have hair all over them, so you just wanna take your brush and brush it off. And I personally use the same brush that I use on my head. I don't think it really matters, as long as you clean your brushes too. And when you're cleaning your clippers, open the lever so you can get all the hair that's stuck up from under. Now this should go without saying, but don't run your clippers under the sink. Please don't, just don't do it. The way you clean it is with this, it's called clipper sides. Hold it at a good distance. Spray it on your clippers and it sterilizes them. Well, that's gonna be it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I'm about to get my camera soon, so the video quality, you're gonna see the difference right away. Cause like, even though I can shoot 4K on a phone, it's just different. Once I get this camera, we locked in. Now, if you have any more questions about cutting hair, anything like that, please leave a comment down below. Make sure you like, share this video with a friend so they can see it as well. And of course, subscribe to the channel and hit that bell so you can be notified every time I post. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Well, boys, we hit the jackpot this time.